On Tuesday evening, Arsenal will be playing their last ever group stage game in the Champions League. And it's not because we're not going to be playing in the Champions League again, but it's because this is the last season of Champions League group stage games, with next season the Champions League kind of turned into a league format, which is another topic for another day. But I suppose even with the fact that this is our last ever Champions League group stage game, it is still kind of a meaningless game, being that Arsenal have qualified for the next round of the UEFA Champions League and have officially topped our group. PSV also for the most part have qualified for the next round of the Champions League. The only way they don't qualify is if they lose to Arsenal by a 5-goal margin and Lens beats Sevilla, so it's kind of unlikely, but I mean, you never know, football is football. But it's still kind of a meaningless game with both teams essentially just qualifying for the next round for the most part. So in today's video, we'll be previewing the game, talking about the potential starting 11 that we may see and how I think the game will go. So what's going on, everyone? It's Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So we'll start off with Arsenal's form coming into this game against PSV. And man, this Aston Villa loss that we recently had away at Villa Park, losing 1-0, still really hurts me. Go watch my post-match reaction for it if you don't understand why. But yeah, the referee decisions, the VAR decisions, the wasted chances from Arsenal, yeah, it still hurts, especially with the fact that with that loss we now sit second in the Premier League behind Liverpool. But other than that Aston Villa game, we had a 6-game win streak in all competitions, beating Luton Town, Wolves, Lens, Brentford, Burnley, Sevilla. We were on fire. But yeah, that loss from Aston Villa probably humbled us a little bit, brought us back down to earth. So it's still a tough one to take. But we are coming into this game, I would say, despite the loss, still in really good form. One loss in our last 7 games. We really have been playing well. And even in that Villa loss, I still think we had a pretty much solid performance. We were the better team, had more good chances, and I just think we just didn't get the rub of the green. So it is what it is. We're coming to this PSV game. I know we come off a loss, but I would still say in good form. PSV, however, come into this game with 5 wins in 5 games. They did have a loss in between, but it was a club friendly against Schalke, so I'm not counting that. But all in competitive games, they have 5 wins in their last 5 games. And I suppose beating Sevilla 3-2, the way that they did, the comeback that they had away from home, is probably the standout game for them. They coming into this game in top form. They're going to be at home for the game. It's going to be a difficult one, especially with the fact that I expect us to come into this game with a lack of competitiveness, being that we've already won the group and qualified for the next round. So there's nothing for us to gain from this. And with the fact that we're probably going to be heavily rotated. So I won't lie, I won't be surprised if we see PSV win the game. And I know the game is meaningless, like I said earlier, but as an Arsenal fan, I still want to win the game. It's a Champions League game. I still want to win. I don't care how much we rotate. I don't care how much it doesn't actually mean to us. I want to win the game. I still love seeing this team win. And I know this game doesn't mean anything, but to me, it still should be a game that we go out and win. On to injuries and suspensions, and it's still pretty much the same stuff. Smith Rowe, Partey, Vieira are all going to be out. Tomiyasu's going to be out, and obviously Timber's going to be out. And that's it. There's no other injuries and suspensions to report for Arsenal's sake. And as for PSV, they don't really have too many injuries themselves. Lozano, one of their best players, will be out with a hamstring injury. Teze and Bella Kotchap will also be out, but I believe Bella Kotchap was out for the previous PSV game where we won 4-0. So they're going to be pretty fit. The thing is, they're going to be coming into this game wanting to win because of the fact that they still have the possibility of getting knocked out of the Champions League, and the fact that they're playing at home, they're playing against a big English team in Arsenal. They have all the wind in their sails to go out there and get a win against us. That's why I am a little nervous for the game, especially with the fact that I expect us to be playing below par. I expect us to be playing a fully rotated team. It's low-key going to be a really tough game for us to get the win in. But like I said, I still want to see Arsenal get a win. And with the fact that our next game is on Sunday against Brighton, I would be very, very surprised if Arsenal don't rotate the team as I would expect us to. But I suppose I can understand the argument that some Arsenal fans are making where we shouldn't rotate as much, being that we need to get back on form. We need to feel good, I suppose, about playing. And there's still going to be a fairly decent break of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a 4-day break until we play Brighton. So I can kind of get people not wanting to rotate as heavily. But for me, I would be very surprised to see more than 3 or 4 normal starting 11 players playing in the game. I don't expect that. Now, I'm not expecting us to go throw out a full reserve team like some Arsenal fans are, but I would still be pretty upset, I suppose you can say, if we do throw out a really strong team. So for me, my starting 11 for the game, in goal, I think it's quite obvious. It has to be Aaron Ramsdale. And that's not because Raya had a poor performance against Villa, because I think that's very far from the truth. I think Raya did what was asked of him against Villa, but I think Ramsdale needs game time. That goes without saying. He deserves to at least play one Champions League game, especially a meaningless one against PSV. So for me, I think it's quite obvious that in goal, I would have Aaron Ramsdale. Now at left back for me, I would play Kiwior. I think Kiwior needs more game time for Arsenal. When he has played, he's played pretty decently. He hasn't been outstanding in any games, but he hasn't been bad, and I do think more minutes for him would do pretty well for him. So for me, left back would be Kiwior. My right back would be a Arsenal Academy product in Walters, who has been in and around the first team for basically the whole season. He went out to America with us, I believe, and he's been on the bench a few times. He's a really good standout player for the under-21 Arsenal team. I believe he's the captain for the under-21 Arsenal team. I really like his physical prowess, what he is capable of doing, and I think why not? We don't have anything to lose. Give him his debut, give him his first chance at first team football, and what better way to do it than in the Champions League? So for me, Walters would be right back. Now you guys may think this is a little strong, but for me the 2 centre backs would be Ben White, I know, who hasn't played centre back in how long, next to Gabriel. I think Saliba desperately needs some rest. We don't have too many centre backs to be playing in the position anyway, unless you're going to go dig into the academy team. But being that we are going to be playing away in a hostile environment, I don't want to be too filled with academy players. So my 2 centre backs would be Gabriel and Ben White. Maybe you look to take them off in the 60th minute and you bring on some academy boys, but for me, Ben White and Gabriel at centre back. Now in the midfield is where I would have loved to play Smith Rowe or Vieira, but being that they're both going to be out for the game, we kind of have to go stronger than you would expect. So Jorginho for me would be our CDM. Give Declan some break. I mean, he's been playing so well for us, he deserves a rest. But now into central midfield position is where we kind of have to go stronger than you'd expect. For me, I would go Martin Odegaard and Kai Havertz. I know, again, it's stronger than you would expect, but like I said, there for me, I would have been playing Smith Rowe or Vieira, but the fact that they both can be out for the game, and like I said, I don't want to be too filled with academy players. I think Martin Odegaard and Havertz have to start with Jorginho in midfield. But like I said, come towards the 60th minute, if we're up 1-0 or we're up 2-0, then maybe you can take off the captain Odegaard or take off Havertz and give more of a break to them and give some academy players a go. But for me, Odegaard, Havertz and Jorginho would be my midfield. Now my front three is where we see a full change. For me, left wing would be Reiss Nelson. I think Reiss Nelson needs more game time. When he does play, usually he plays really well. Off the bench, sometimes not so much, but as a starter, I think he plays quite well. He scored a goal against Brentford in the Carabao Cup. I think that was his last start of the season. So for me, I don't see a reason why not to start Reiss Nelson at left wing. My right wing would be Leandro Trossard, and as good as he is, he's not really a starting 11 player for us week in and week out. Not that he doesn't start in our 11, but he's not our week in, week out player, so I expect to see him starting. And up top, I don't think it would surprise anyone, but I expect to see Eddie Nketiah, and I would put Eddie Nketiah up front. He needs more game time. He's proven to be a really good player when he gets minutes, but how much longer he's going to be staying in this Arsenal team, what his future looks like in this Arsenal team is slightly questionable, but I suppose that's another topic for another day. So yeah guys, that's the video. That's my starting 11. Let me know in the comments below, what starting 11 would you guys play for the game? What are your predictions for the game? Let me know in the comments below. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.